Hey guys, how are you? This is day one of JumpStart, so I wanted to welcome everybody that's participating and get started. Wanted to start just because I think most of everybody knows me, but I just wanted to give a little bit of my background so everybody, so we all know. I am. I've been doing fitness coaching for the last 2 years. I'm also certified as a running coach, and I'm certified in functional movement fitness, functional movement screening, which is a whole area of assessing potential problems before they cause injuries. But anyway, I started my whole fitness journey, if you want to call it that, about almost a little over 2.5 years ago, where I was just so sick of being, I was weighing more than I needed to weigh. It was causing all sorts of injuries, and I was in physical therapy more than I was doing anything else, and that kind of really sucked because I'd much rather be out doing something fun than spending 2 hours 3 times a week, 2 or 3 times a week in physical therapy. So I lost weight with a lot of support, discovered some programs to make it lose the weight and keep it off, which was really, like so many of us, you kind of gain and lose and gain and lose, and it was like I was just sick of it. And I knew where I needed to be, and and just my own philosophy on weight and everything else. It's a number. It doesn't mean anything unless you want it to mean something. And for me, I'm fairly small. I have a 3 or 4 pound swing of where I should be. So hi Sheila, how are you? And, so I have to be careful. And, but it's not about a number. It's for me, I look at it as uh, I look, for me, the weight is more about, I know if when I'm running, if I weigh a little bit too much, I'm more likely to get injured. And I can feel the impact on my joints and everything else. So that's just me. That's where I use it as a number. But to me, it's more than just, I look at so many other things. I'm looking at how do my clothes feel, how do I look, all of that, and I try not to be too obsessive about it. But um, so anyway, that's just sort of my background, and I don't, I'm kind of a firm believer that there is no perfect size or number or anything for anybody. It's all a matter of what is healthy. So I'm all about being healthy and being able to do what you want to do in life, whether it's running a marathon, like God knows why I'm doing that, but I am, or yeah, running a marathon, or hiking, or going for a walk with your family. It's like being able to be fit and healthy and pain free and not have any medical issues or anything like that. So that's kind of where I am at. And it probably took me a long time to get there. But anyway, wanted to talk tonight about planning, because planning is really the key to success. And I know on the weeks that I don't plan, I am reaching for the wrong kinds of foods, and then I feel like crap and all of that. So for me, planning is a key thing. What I do, and planning's two things. One, it's like planning what I'm going to do, but it's also getting yourself in the right mindset. Um, it's like I try to think, for me, I try to get rid of the trigger foods. There are certain things that if it's open and in the house, I will eat it. So, a bag of chips, not something I should have in the house. Chocolate is another thing that I should not have in the house. Um, I won't open a bottle of wine. I'm actually better about that now, but but mostly like chips, chocolate.
Ice cream, I will try to avoid. I'll go to the ice cream stand before I'll buy it to bring home. But it's hard because I have other people in the house with me. I don't live in a bubble. So I try to balance that and try to just stay away from the food. But, ideally, not having it in the house is perfect. The other thing, as far as planning, is kind of being aware of trigger events, which, like stress. Are you a stress eater? Are you, I can be, and I'm sorry, my cat's suddenly headbutting me right now. Um, I can be a stress eater on occasion. I try to work in some tactics to avoid stress eating, and I kind of know in advance when something is going to be kind of stressful, and I try to, plan around that. Um, but yeah, are there, definitely trigger events. Be thinking about those and thinking about how you're going to how you're going to tackle them. So that's the mindset planning that I look at. And then there's the actual planning for the week, which is another whole thing. And that's for me, what I will do is I'll sit out and I'll map out a week, and I spend most of my time figuring out my dinners. And that's just because that's really where, I have to cook, I have to do everything, I have to do more work for the dinner. So I will make sure that I figured out my dinners for the week, and I'll figure out, like, hey, what food groups am I going to include, and, where's my protein, where's my carbs, all of that. And then I'll fill in my breakfasts, my lunches, my snacks, and I do snack a lot. Um, I keep it really simple with breakfast and lunch. I tend to do breakfast with, I will have two breakfasts for the week, and I will rotate them. I'll usually have one thing that I make at the beginning of the week that I can have all week, on alternate days, and then I'll have something else that's quick and easy to put together. I do a lot of frittatas, putting together all the vegetables into something, and making something like that. Or I do, and that'll last me all week, especially when I alternate it. I do things like overnight oatmeal, anything like that. Second thing, and then for lunches, I do one of two things. Our dinners, I always know there's going to be leftovers. So that could be either another dinner meal, or it gets repurposed for a lunch the next day, like whatever my protein was on a salad, something like that. And again, I keep my lunches very, very, very simple. And then I keep my snacks. My snacks are more filling in whatever I don't need, whatever I need to fill in for food groups. If I feel like I need a couple of nuts, I'll have a few nuts, things like that. Then the other thing I do is I keep extra proteins on hand, just to kind of, in a pinch, and that, like, I'm not a vegetarian. I know, Sheila, you are. But I'll keep things like grilled chicken on hand, or some hard-boiled eggs on hand, and just have them, ready to go just in case I need something. Then the other thing that I plan for that's important is planning for treats. You know, is there a night that I'm going to be going out? And then how do I rejigger the rest of that day, so I'm not overindulging? Am I going to have a glass of wine? And what does that mean for the rest of the day? And then I also plan for kind of what I call extra events, where if I know that I'm running 18 miles, I know I know I need more food than if I am just running 3 miles. So I will add in some extra carbs on that day. I'll add in some extra healthy fats on that day. And I'll document it, because if I don't document it, I end up eating everything. I'll just kind of mindlessly munch on something, and that's when the marathon 10 comes happens, which I'm trying to avoid. And so those are some of the things that I try to plan for. And what I do is I log everything. I do have a spreadsheet that when I'm really on top of my game is I will, log it, put everything in the spreadsheet and then track it. Just make sure, check everything off as I eat it. I have used my Fitness Pal to log in foods. Don't do that as much, and that's only because it's like one more place to put things in, and when I start tracking too many places, I get a little bit obsessive, which isn't a good thing at all. So anyway, so that's kind of where I am with planning. That's what I wanted to share with everybody, and wanted to have a couple of questions for you to, as a prompt to think about, just share with the group, what are your, what are your trigger foods? What kind of drives you over the edge? Is it too much sugar, too much anything, or is it just too much food? Are there events that cause trigger, that cause you to that cause a trigger event that causes, either overeating or undereating? And then how you think planning, how can you plan it out better to avoid some of that? Because I think a lot of it is trying to go in there and figuring out where the pitfalls are going to be and having a plan in advance for them. So anyway, those are my thoughts for today, and love to hear your thoughts on it. And I will be posting this in the group so you can watch it again, and I will talk to you guys all later. Bye.